Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle from A Teague of Your Own. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. With me today is my guest co-host, Faerie Grace. Hi, Faerie.
Well, thank you, Michelle,
You're
from
welcome.
Tea of Your Own. And I'm Faerie Grace, and I'm honored to be here talking about something I do struggle with. And I'm an author, speaker, ready to start.
You are. Did you want to tell everybody about the cool books you have available right now? Because we are talking about procrastination. Some of you haven't gone Christmas shopping yet, even though Christmas is 5 days away. So, if you are in need of gifts for children, somebody just happens to be an author of 2 fabulous children's books. Tell everybody about your books.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I wrote Wacky Jackie and Wacky Jackie Paints. And I also wrote for ladies like us a prayer journal, which helps combat the procrastinator in us and getting us to that next level that we desire and want to be. So you can go on Amazon or you can contact me, and I can make sure you get this book within the 5 days of Christmas.
That's going to be hard. You're literally losing time right now. So head online and make sure you get those. We are going to talk about procrastination today. As I said, Christmas is 5 days away. Today's December 20th. Theoretically, if you want to make sure you get all Christmas gifts, you need to have them done within the next 4 days. Because you need to have them, under the tree by Christmas Eve. There are people out there who wait until the last minute to go shopping.
They go on Christmas Eve.
Yes. This year, they may be a little surprised at the lack of stuff available for them on Christmas Eve.
Already.
Yeah. It's getting kind of
slim pickings,
scarce out there. I don't like to think in a scarcity mindset because that's not a positive way of thinking. However, when it comes to Christmas shopping, I got bad news for you. You need to go sooner rather than later. Do you find that people who wait to go Christmas shopping or holiday shopping, because they may not celebrate Christmas, maybe they were Hanukkah people and celebrated that earlier. However, do you find people who wait until the last minute tend to do that with other parts of their lives?
I definitely think so, Michelle. There was a lady on a radio station I heard a long time ago. She said, you're either disciplined in everything or nothing. And I took offense to that. Well, that's probably because I was on the latter side of it. And I thought, no, that is not true. I am disciplined in some things just because it's not everything. But I really boiled everything down. And no, you're either disciplined or you're not. And I think with procrastination, I think we can tend to be more of a procrastinator and its habitual downfall than not.
And I think part of it has to do with whose priority is it. With Christmas, if Christmas is a big priority for you, you've been finished with your Christmas shopping. Your decorations been done. You've finished all your baking. You're literally just counting down the seconds until everybody gathers around and you can celebrate.
And you're ready. And sometimes people are shamed for that. Do you notice that? What do you mean you have your tree up? Thanksgiving hasn't happened. And I kind of fell along the lines, but in the same breath, the older you get, we know that time seems to speed up.
Yes, it does.
We have more responsibilities.
Yes.
So what? You can celebrate the two. You can be thankful that your tree is up because you're not a procrastinator.
That's true.
And people coming for Thanksgiving can be in one room, have their turkey, and go sit looking forward to what's going to happen, which is Christmas. And I think sometimes we shame people when they are ahead of the game.
Yeah. What I find is, as a business owner, one of the things that we do is we set our own deadlines.
Have to.
We have to. And the things that I procrastinate on are the lower priorities that have a floating deadline. For example, there are some things that you have to reach out to your customers. You have to make phone calls, send emails, things like that. That for me tends to get pushed aside to the higher priorities. For me, that's content, that's working on webinars, working on presentations and classes that I'm teaching. And I'm usually working 1 to 2 of those ahead of time. So what's coming up next for me, like the mastermind I have coming up next month, and then I've got also a couple of other trainings I'm doing next month. That's what I'm working on now, as opposed to the stuff I have in February and March, which I need to look at, but it's not as high a priority for me because the deadlines are pushed out further.
You have more time for it, so you're going to wait longer to get to that.
And I find there's a lot of people who do that. When they don't have firm deadlines, or if the deadline is further away than the next few weeks, they don't pay attention to it.
Right. They don't feel that urgency because it's not there in their face. And there's also no consequence at that point. It's emanating, but it's not happening. So they're like, oh, I'm good. I have time. And then they wait till that deadline is in their face, like a red blaring light freaking out. And then they go into panic mode, which does not make for an enjoyable life.
No, it doesn't.
And no one reaps a benefit from that. Your family, you're going to be a little testier. You're going to be a little shorter with them. You're emotionally going to be a little unstable. And things start to sacrifice because you procrastinated.
And if you get into that cycle, it just perpetuates itself.
Very true.
And so one of the things that you need to focus on is breaking that cycle of procrastination.
Agreed. How do they do it? Tell them.
How do you do that?
Tell me.
First and foremost, you need to figure out what are the true priorities of your life and what isn't. You need to figure out what's important and what isn't. For me, and you and I have talked about this, you figure out what your values are, what's in alignment with your values. If what you're focusing on doesn't line up with your values, you're not going to want to do it anyway.
Nope.
So push it aside. You need to focus on what's important for you and your family. You need to focus on what's important for your business and your organization. Does it line up with those values? Make those the priority and set the deadlines.
Yes.
You've got, in your prayer journal, you've actually got space there for planning out. What are your priorities? What do you need to focus on? And I think people who procrastinate, that's one of the things they need to get a little bit better at.
They're lacking on, right? Yeah.
They don't have the planning skills to be able to sit down and say, how far in advance do I need to begin working on this? And so that's one of the things when it comes to preventing procrastination and breaking that cycle is looking ahead and making sure you get that onto your calendar, make sure you get that into your planner, whatever it is. And if you're not using a planner or a calendar.
I don't know how people live without. I have my planner. I have like planners for my planners. Gosh, I don't know how people do life, keep it intact without having planners or even on their phone.
Exactly. And it's funny because Jim will ask me, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm like, really? You've got access to my calendar.
Oh.
All you got to do is open up your phone.
Okay, he has access to it, to your life, to your map.
Because that is what
that's how I live by too. Yeah.
And it's, you make sure you put things in there that are important and need to be done. Yes. And literally you plan out even family time.
Yes.
You put in there.
You have to.
What's going to be important for you. You put in date night in there.
Yes. We do too. You guys do it. My husband and I. We have to. Or a month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by. Yeah. And we are wondering, why do we feel stressed and strained and distant? Because you're constantly going in some motion. Are you going this way or the wrong way? Yeah. And we realize, get the date on the calendar.
You truly have to. And so, and the thing about time is, if you don't have a sense of what you're doing with your time, time will literally take over your life.
Yeah.
And other people will create what's going
Yes,
to happen
they will.
on your calendar.
And you're wondering why you feel grumpy and moody. It's
Yes.
because you are really not having control
Right.
over what you want and how you want to live from day in and day out. You're not realizing it, but you know you're unhappy. And that's why you've lost control.
And I think that's what leads to the procrastination, is this loss of control over what's going on in your life. And you keep pushing things off and pushing things off. And until you take back control over what's going on in your life, you're going to continue that cycle.
Yeah. It's easy to go in the trajectory, whether it's good or bad. And I think we have to be mindful and intentional to say, I'm going to reevaluate my life today. I'm going to reevaluate my plan for the month of December. I'm sure all of us are freaking out in some way, saying 5 days till Christmas. And it's hard to believe it goes that fast, but we can then find peace because we've planned out family days, work days, what we need to do, who we have to buy for, what our budget is. There is a sense of planning to end up having the life that you planned and thought you would have.
Exactly. And it's not too late.
No. Great point. Great point.
It is not too late. Literally, you still have time.
Yes.
Now, if you're watching this recording and you've gotten into, Thursday or Friday, I'm not going to tell you it's not too late.
We keep it real here.
You do need to start making some plans, though. And you need to take a look at the days that are remaining and what can you do to take back control over what's going on in your life, and put together a concrete plan.
Yes.
And the cool thing is, Christmas, we know exactly when Christmas is going to be.
Every year we know. I try to tell people it's not a surprise. No. Every year we know.
It's not one of those floating holidays that shows up, whenever. It's not like Thanksgiving's one of those days. It's going to be on a Thursday.
Easter floats a little bit.
It'll be on a Sunday, but you don't know
when.
No. Christmas, exactly when it's going to be. New Year's, exactly when it's going to be. So these are holidays where literally when they're going to be. You can plan for them. You can take the time right now to sit down. It'll literally take you about 15, 20 minutes. Figure out what you're going to do for the next 5 days to get ready for Christmas. When are you going to spend time with your family? When are you going to spend time finishing up the Christmas shopping? When are you going to spend some time, just sitting and enjoying the holidays?
Yes, which we forget to do also. It's one of those things that will just skirt by if we're not intentional.
Exactly. And if you're planning on going to church services, because they'll add services for Christmas, which one are you going to? So plan it out so it's not a huge surprise.
And it's not stressful. People say, I'm so stressed during the holidays. Well, it can be, or you can take control by planning and having a clear, concise idea of how you're going to do it. It doesn't mean that you don't go with the ebb and flow. Something happened, but you predominantly have everything down. Just like if we want to go to New York tomorrow, we're going to get a map or a GPS. We're going to plan it out. We're going to make sure we have gas. We're going to do the step because we're going to a physical place. But it's the same thing in our life. We have to plan it out. We have to know what we want, where we're going, and give things deadlines. And I think, Michelle, something that's very important that I do is make everything in manageable bites.
Yes.
It can be so overwhelming, since I don't want to feel like I'm bashing people. It can be so overwhelming when you have a huge family or you have a limited budget and a lot of gifts, or you do have a lot you want to do because you're a social butterfly, or like us, you work for yourself. So there's a lot of work. But if you break everything down into small, manageable pieces, that's when you can breathe. And if you write it down in your mind, you get it off your heart, and your mind, you get it on paper. That takes the stress away because you feel in control. You see it. So what's mentionable is manageable. what you write down, you can see, oh, it's not as daunting as I
No.
thought. It is doable. And then that's where you can cut corners with gifts or budgets or the things you want to do. And I think, Michelle, it really is key. Michelle, you have helped me with my kid books.
Yes.
Because I talked about it for years.
Yep.
I have pieces of paper in my office that are
Yes,
from
you
like
did.
2006
Yes.
saying I was going to complete a particular children's book.
Yep.
And I met you, a year and a half ago to sit down and say, okay, I'm ready to actually write this children's book. And it was getting with Michelle to help me not feel overwhelmed, or like you were just saying, it's not too late.
No.
I felt it was still too late because it was over a decade.
No, it's never too late.
But you helped me bring it down. And Michelle, I met with her life coaching. I just want to give her a shout out right here because
so sweet.
you helped me get the core value. Yeah. The core value system is what Michelle can help you with. And it is exactly what I needed. You may be like me. You have big goals that you want to do and you're not completing any of them. You're starting them, you're tinkering with them. Now they haunt you because they're not done. Michelle has a system called the core value. Yeah. And once you realize what you want, truly the core of it, then it's so much easier to go after the things you wanted. And she helped me realize some things we're procrastinating with because we really don't want it, or we don't need it, or we shouldn't be wasting any time. So she cleans out the garbage so you can truly focus on what you really do want. And then she gives you the steps to help get it done. And now I have 3 books done with 3 more on the verge of being done because I met with you to help me find out what's my core.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, girlfriend. I got books done now.
You do. And the beauty of it is, once you figure out what your goal is, like you said, people get overwhelmed. They're just like, well, this is too much to do. No. It's step by step. You take the first step, then the second step. Then, you have little chunks to do. It's like eating an elephant. It's one bite at a time. Okay, so don't get overwhelmed. Yeah. Don't get discouraged. It can be done.
Yes.
It really can be. It's just
someone else has done it. And that's what I remind myself. When you feel overwhelmed, maybe your house is a mess and you feel overwhelmed, just know someone else's house is meticulous and brilliant, but they didn't get overwhelmed. They looked at the elephant and they dissected it into the parts. And here's the other thing we forget to do: get help.
Oh, yeah. Delegate.
If you have money, hire someone for the things you don't want to do. If you have friends that love you and family, let them help you.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is you can barter.
I love bartering. I love it.
Somebody comes in and cleans your house for you. You go over and you do something, you work on their car for them or whatever.
Bake them cookies or dinner because they're not great. And you make fabulous meals.
There you go.
Just swap your gifts, swap your talent. And the thing is, you feel better because you gave something and you're using your gifts.
Yes.
And then you feel really good because you had someone take a load off that you felt overwhelmed. I have a friend of my husband's, it's a relative. We'll swap days. She'll come over my house, help me whatever I want in the house for 2 hours. Then I'll go to her house for 2 hours. And it makes it manageable. And it's the momentum.
Yes.
She leaves my house and guess what? I don't sit and eat my bonbons. I'm on a high. Yeah. We got so much done. I continue on that. So sometimes it's just that one little step.
You need a little bit of a push.
You need a push.
You just need that push. And the beauty is friends can help each other that way. Family can help each other that way. They can push each other and get each other going down the right path. And that's what coaching does.
So I love it.
Coaching helps get you down the right path. So
it's someone that can see clearly when you're emotional or you're overwhelmed, right? You can go to your friend's house and easily help her with dishes or dissect some clutter she has, and you're not overwhelmed because you're only focused on that one thing and it's one task. And that's what a coach does. You come in, you help the person like myself that's overwhelmed, doesn't know where to begin. How many people are that? It's me as I don't know where to begin. And a coach will show you that.
The other thing is the coach isn't emotionally attached to what else is going on.
Yes.
I had one of my friends, she has a virtual assistant who does reach outs after she's done a presentation. She'll, you collect all the names and the emails and stuff like that. Her virtual assistant will, because they have no emotional attachment. They weren't sitting in the audience and looking at that person saying, "Oh, I don't know. Do they really
like it? Do they get
I don't know." Yeah, no, they have no emotional attachment.
Doesn't matter, right?
They just reach out and contact you, and poof, they're done. And that's what coaches do.
Yeah,
they're separate from the task itself. So yeah. All right, it's about that time.
All right,
we need to get going. Thank you all for joining us. If you need to get a hold of Faerie Grace, Speaking with a Twist, like I said, she's got 2 great books, Wacky Jackie and Wacky Jackie Paints. Plus, she also has her prayer journal. So reach out to her. Where can they go to reach out to you?
I would say you can go to my website, faeriegrace.com, and you can see how my name's spelled the Gaelic way, Faerie, faeriegrace.com, or they can find me on Facebook, Faerie Grace, inspirational speaker and author. And even my personal page, just Faerie Grace. I'm very open with that. I was off of Facebook for 3 years so I could get my life right, and I just got back on. So I don't have a smorgasbord where I'm overwhelmed with it, because I also limit it. So you could find me there or message me. And like Michelle, I'm an encourager where I can objectively look at something and say, hey, this is what you need to do. This isn't what you need to do. Or yes, this would be a great book for you. This is the next step. But I would say in closing, if you are a procrastinator, write it down. Write down what you want to do and make a list of what you have to do, and then delegate what you really don't want to do. It's not your strength. It's not your gifting. Either pay people or hire or barter. But most of all, I have in my journal a quote: give your dreams a deadline so they can live. You have to have the deadline. And even if you undershoot it, like it's not done, you just give yourself those little medical paddles, and then just give it jumpstart it to the next state. But write it down and get an accountability partner. You are my accountability partner. I have other friends. Sometimes I'll just call a friend, even with the gym. Hey, I need to go to the gym. Hang up. And I don't want to disappoint. I'll get in my car and go to the gym.
And to add on to what you were talking about with delegation, that's one of the talks that I do. One of the presentations is the secret to having it all. Because the secret to having it all is you can have it all. You just can't do it all.
Oh, say that again for them.
You can have it all. You just can't do it all. That's why you have to delegate. So yeah. All right. So we'll be back. I'll be back next week. My guest co-host next week is Nicole Perry.
Oh,
she's from the Boston area. She has a radio show.
Awesome.
And I know her through Polka Dot Powerhouse, and I've been on her show a couple of times, so she's going to come do my show. Yay. But thank you once again for joining me. And I will see you next week, Facebook land and LinkedIn land and YouTube world. Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.